If you're a diehard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. Stop me if this sounds crazy, but the Cleveland Browns are at a crossroads at quarterback. Joe Flacco, reliable as he's been, isn't going to lead this team on a playoff run in the future. That's not speculation, it's just reality. Flacco has been a stabilizing presence, a bridge, a temporary solution, but the Browns are thinking long-term, and long-term means bringing in a young quarterback with the tools, the talent, and the ceiling to carry this franchise into sustained success. Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders have flashed promise, but neither has proven they are the definitive answer under center. They're intriguing, they're interesting, and yes, they're talented, but when the Browns look at the 2025 draft, a first-round quarterback seems almost inevitable. It's not about if, it's about which one. And while it's still early days in this college football season, there are a few names that Browns fans, and let's be honest, NFL scouts, should be watching closely. Garrett Nussmeier is a fascinating case study, especially in today's era of constant transfers. LSU's Baton Rouge campus hasn't seen a quarterback like Nussmeier in years. He arrived in 2021 as one of the final remnants of the Ed Orgeron era, and for 3 full seasons he watched, learned, and waited. Patience, in this case, has paid off. Last season, when he finally stepped onto the field as the Tigers' starter, Nussmeier put up numbers that demanded attention. Over 4,000 passing yards and 29 touchdowns. His opening weekend wasn't flawless. He struggled against Clemson in the first half, but he bounced back to throw for 232 yards and a touchdown in a critical road win. There were bumps along the way, like the underwhelming 23-7 victory over Louisiana Tech. But those moments are the kind scouts watch closely because they reveal resilience. Nussmeier isn't just riding the coattails of his pedigree, his father, Doug Nussmeier, the Saints' offensive coordinator, but carving out his own identity as a quarterback who can throw with accuracy, read defenses, and adjust under pressure. LSU's 2025 schedule is brutal, and 5 ranked matchups loom on the horizon, which will either elevate his stock or expose weaknesses. For a Browns front office looking for a polished passer with upside, Nussmeier is the type of name that can't be ignored. Then there's Lanoris Sellers, the quarterback who seems to arrive out of nowhere and immediately demand attention. Sellers ripped off 6 consecutive wins to close out South Carolina's season in 2024, and that surge alone has put him on early 2026 draft boards, despite being a relatively under-the-radar prospect. What makes Sellers intriguing isn't just his arm. It's his legs. He threw for 2,500 yards and 18 touchdowns, which are respectable but not jaw-dropping on their own. Add nearly 700 rushing yards and 7 rushing touchdowns, and suddenly you're looking at a dual-threat QB who forces defenses to account for everything on every snap. Accuracy has been a sticking point. He completed just 60% of his passes last season, but context matters. South Carolina hasn't exactly faced a gauntlet yet, and Sellers is still in the process of refining the mental aspects of his game. So far in the 2025 campaign, he has 337 passing yards and 48 rushing yards through 2 games, and while those numbers aren't eye-popping, they are enough to suggest he can be dangerous if he ramps back up to form. The Gamecocks' schedule will test him thoroughly, with 6 ranked opponents in their final 7 games. If Sellers performs there, you're looking at a quarterback who can not only make plays but also handle pressure, something the Browns desperately need. Arch Manning, on the other hand, comes with a name and a legacy that few can ignore. He's one of the most polarizing quarterbacks in college football, and his debut for Texas didn't exactly silence critics. Sitting behind Quinn Ewers for 2 seasons left Manning underprepared for a spotlight moment, and when he faced Ohio State at Ohio Stadium, it was clear he was overwhelmed. The Longhorns struggled to 7 points, and Manning's passing accuracy suffered against a formidable Buckeyes defense. But to write him off after one rough start would be premature. Manning bounced back with impressive stats against San Jose State, reminding fans and scouts alike that he has the tools and talent that can't simply be measured in one bad outing. He has 2 more non-conference matchups to refine his game before heading into the more challenging portion of the schedule, and with a pedigree that includes guidance from his grandfather, Archie Manning, expectations are sky-high. There's also speculation that he may return to Texas for the 2026 season, which would allow him to further solidify his skills and draft stock. For a team like the Browns, a quarterback with raw talent, size, and the ability to handle pressure, yet who also brings media attention and fan intrigue, Manning is a name worth circling. Cade Klubnik rounds out this early list of potential Browns targets, and his narrative is one of both hype and resilience. After leading Clemson to a playoff berth, breaking new ground since the days of Trevor Lawrence, Klubnik entered the season under immense scrutiny. He's a dual-threat talent with impressive numbers in his first 2 seasons under Dabo Swinney, but 2025 has started rocky. Clemson dropped a home game to LSU, where Klubnik couldn't get the offense moving, followed by a narrow 11-point win over Troy, marred by his second interception in as many weeks. And yet, pedigree is everything in situations like this. Klubnik has the framework to return to form, to adjust, and to thrive under pressure. Clemson's next games, particularly against Haynes King and Georgia Tech, will serve as a proving ground, and if Klubnik falters, scouts will inevitably pivot to his competitors. But the potential upside remains enormous. A Browns front office looking for a polished QB with playoff experience in high-stakes college games might see Klubnik as a safer, more NFL-ready prospect, someone who can step into a system and contribute almost immediately. The Cleveland Browns are at an interesting juncture. The quarterback room may be in flux, but that's precisely where opportunity lies. Whether it's a polished passer like Nussmeier, a dual-threat disruptor like Sellers, a name-brand talent like Arch Manning, or a pedigree-laden option like Klubnik, the Browns have intriguing paths ahead. Each quarterback offers something unique. Nussmeier brings timing and poise. Sellers brings mobility and athleticism. Manning brings a legendary name and raw talent. Klubnik brings experience and NFL readiness. The decision, however, isn't just about who has the best stats or the flashiest highlight reel. It's about who can handle the weight of Cleveland's expectations, the pressure of a passionate fan base, and the intensity of playoff football. If the Browns, or, for that matter, the Jaguars stumble in 2025, the quarterback market could open in unprecedented ways. Every week of the college season is a step toward revealing the next heir apparent for an NFL franchise desperate for a leader under center. Scouts will dissect every throw, every decision, and every performance, knowing that the right pick could redefine a franchise. Fans watching from Berea should be paying attention to Nussmeier, Sellers, Manning, and Klubnik because each represents a very real possibility of being the face of the Browns' future. These are quarterbacks with different backgrounds, different skill sets, and different developmental trajectories, but all share one common thread: potential. And potential, in the NFL, is a commodity worth its weight in gold. As the season unfolds, expect drama, upsets, and surprises. College football has a way of throwing curveballs, and the Browns' next quarterback may not be a guaranteed star, or they may be the perfect solution waiting just around the corner. One thing is certain: for a franchise desperate to find stability at quarterback, the next selection is more than a draft pick. It's a chance to reshape the future. Browns fans, buckle up, because the next parade down Superior Avenue may depend on one of these college signal callers making the leap from hopeful prospect to NFL starter. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. It is real, my friends, and it almost feels like a dream, but the dream has now turned into reality. Nick Chubb is back, and the Cleveland Browns suddenly look like a team ready to rewrite the script of their history. For months, for what felt like an endless stretch of time, the city of Cleveland held its breath, waiting, hoping, and praying for the return of their warrior, their workhorse, their undeniable leader in the backfield. After that devastating injury that shook not only the Browns fan base but the entire football world, there were doubts, there were whispers, there were fears that maybe we had seen the last of Chubb at his dominant best. But today, the tone has shifted completely. The whispers are no longer about concern, they are about possibility. The rumors are no longer about decline, they are about resurgence. And the energy surrounding the Browns right now feels different, feels new, feels almost like destiny knocking on their door. Think about what Nick Chubb represents for this franchise. He isn't just a running back. He is the identity, the heartbeat, the anchor of the Cleveland Browns offense. For years, through chaos, through changes at quarterback, Through ups and downs in coaching, through seasons that ended in disappointment, Chubb was always there, cutting through defenses, breaking tackles, dragging entire teams on his back. He became more than just a player. He became a symbol of hope in a city starving for football glory. And when he went down, when that gruesome injury forced him out of the lineup, it felt like the heart of the Browns had been ripped out. Fans didn't just lose a star, they lost the very spirit of the team. That's why his return is not just a football story, it's an emotional one. It's about resilience, about courage, about a man refusing to let adversity define his career. Reports around the team have been buzzing all week, and the locker room is clearly feeding off the energy of his comeback. Teammates describe him as focused, as motivated, as locked in as ever. Coaches say he hasn't just returned physically, but mentally sharper, hungrier, ready to prove something to himself and to the entire league. This isn't just a recovery, it's a mission. Chubb isn't satisfied with merely stepping back on the field. He wants to dominate again. He wants to remind the world that when you talk about the best running backs in football, his name belongs at the very top of that conversation. And let's be honest, when Chubb is healthy, there are few, if any, who can match what he brings to the table. The fanbase knows it too. You can feel it in the streets of Cleveland. There's a renewed sense of belief, a spark that had been missing since the injury. The idea of seeing Chubb back in that number 24 jersey, bursting through gaps, carrying defenders on his back, turning broken plays into highlight reels, it's giving Browns fans goosebumps. Social media is on fire with excitement, with memes, with highlight clips, with chants that echo the return of their hero. And you just know that when he finally takes the field again, the roar inside that stadium will be unlike anything we've heard in years. It won't just be noise. It will be gratitude, relief, joy, and faith all blending into one. But let's also be real about what this means on the football side of things. The Browns suddenly have balance again. With Chubb in the backfield, defenses can't just pin their ears back and attack the quarterback. They have to respect the run. They have to stack the box. They have to prepare for a player who can turn any touch into a game-breaking play. That opens up the passing game. It gives the offensive line confidence. It allows the play caller to be creative, to be aggressive. The presence of Chubb changes the math, changes the psychology of the defense. And in a division as brutal as the AFC North, that kind of weapon is priceless. And let's not underestimate the emotional impact this has on the locker room. When a player like Nick Chubb comes back, it isn't just about yards and touchdowns. It's about inspiration. Younger players look at him and learn what it means to fight, to persevere, to refuse to quit. Veterans see him and feel re-energized because they know they're not just playing with anyone. They're playing with a warrior who has been through the fire and returned. It binds the team together, gives them a rallying cry, a story bigger than the XS and OS. And for a team like the Browns, trying to shake off decades of disappointment, that kind of unity, that kind of belief, can be the difference between another forgotten season and a magical run. Now, the league is watching. Opposing defenses are watching. Analysts are watching. There's curiosity, sure, but there's also fear. Because when Nick Chubb is at full strength, he doesn't just play football, he imposes his will. He makes grown men miss. He lowers his shoulder and sends defenders flying. He turns 3-yard gains into 30-yard heartbreaks. The thought of him being back, motivated, angry even, is a nightmare for defensive coordinators across the league. They know they have to deal with him again, and that changes everything. And let's be honest, the Browns story has always been one of heartbreaks and close calls. But every great sports story needs a hero, needs a figure who stands in the middle of the storm and refuses to bend. For Cleveland, that figure is Nick Chubb. His comeback is not just about yards and wins. It's about rewriting history, about giving the Browns a chance to finally flip the script. Maybe this is the chapter where the franchise stops being the underdog and starts being the contender. Maybe this is the moment when Cleveland's patience, loyalty, and suffering finally pay off. There's no guarantee, of course. Football is unpredictable, brutal, unforgiving. But the return of Chubb gives the Browns something they haven't had in years. Hope rooted in reality. Not blind hope, not wishful thinking, but real, tangible hope based on the presence of a player who can truly change games. And that's why the buzz right now feels different. It's not just noise, it's belief. It's the sense that something special is brewing in Cleveland, And that Nick Chubb's comeback might just be the spark that ignites it all. So buckle up, Browns fans. The Warrior is back. The story is being rewritten. And if destiny has anything to say about it, the name Nick Chubb will forever be etched into the legend of Cleveland football. Because this isn't just a comeback, it's a resurrection. It's the return of a hero who never gave up, and now, neither should the Browns. This season is no longer about survival. It's about chasing glory. And at the heart of it all is number 24, ready to carry Cleveland not just down the field, but into history. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!